my anxiety, it gets a lot worse at night. There's nothing for me to do. I'm stuck with myself, stuck in my head, stuck with my own thoughts, stuck worried about going to sleep because I have nightmares. A lot of people are pissed off at me. A lot of people that did not keep their word. They don't understand how important them keeping their word was, or how limited I am in my abilities. Now, Amanda, although she was trying to discredit me, ended up crediting me for the things that I said. So, it's alright for them, it's not alright for me. It's alright for my dad to bring up stuff from 20 years ago. It's not alright for me to bring up stuff from the past. And then they want to do the time warp. When we're talking about a specific situation, they want to time warp to a different time and a different place. Like specifically, the situation while I was in Montana was that I got bitched at for playing video games that I wasn't playing. All the video games that I had downloaded before going up there, they said they had internet. The video games that I downloaded were online video games. In specific, Crossfire and War Thunder. Crossfire is a game where you get to build your own stuff. It's pretty cool. I made a choo-choo train. On War Thunder, it's an airplane game, mostly. Airplanes, tanks, things of that nature. If I don't have their special interests, then my special interests aren't valid and I'm a bad person for them, whether I'm doing them or not. What Lana did while I was up there was pretty messed up. And although they won't admit to hounding me about shit that I had no control over, the fact is they did admit to at least talking to me about those things, like Brad Dollinger's car. And he's such a terrible person, why is he back up there? The thing is, I didn't want any of this public. I didn't. This should have been between me, the Bollingers, and the police before Natalie was killed. I should have been allowed an honest day in court. That should have been between me, Ken, and Leah in the courts. That's specifically what I went to Miss Peach's house for help for. Amanda and Lana, when I left there, instead of being decent about it, instead of talking to me about it, they threw a bunch of assumptions at me that I wasn't allowed to defend myself against. That's the problem, is that this was something that was overwhelming for me and I needed people to listen, but nobody would. A lot of these people who said that they would listen and claim that they did listen and claim that they watched the videos and claim this and claim that, I call them up, realize that they hadn't. On my YouTube channel, I got phone calls recorded from most of these people. It doesn't matter if they're pissed off at me or not about that. The fact is, I had to do something to show the truth. I'm overwhelmed for a reason. No matter what I did to try to show the truth, no matter what I did, it wasn't good, it wasn't right. I'm always the bad guy, no matter what. Now, as far as Rihanna not keeping her word, she couldn't keep her word because of her husband. Going over there gives me severe anxiety because I have to show up there after she gets home from work, but before her husband gets home from work. Otherwise, I end up getting treated like shit. He's throwing a tantrum because I'm there. Throwing a fucking tantrum. Meanwhile, I didn't do anything to him, and I didn't do anything to his wife. I don't believe Rihanna intentionally lied to me. Matter of fact, I can't consider it a lie. She told me the truth. Lana and Amanda did not. They judged me by a different measure than they judged themselves. People don't want their personal business out there. I get that. But at least it's their personal business. It's their personal business with their involvement with me. These people don't want to understand autism. Rihanna understands. She understands very well. She's also pissed off that I make videos. She's pissed off that she was in those videos and that I vented about her husband. That's the thing, I needed help. She offered that help and then she couldn't because of her husband. I didn't make him a jerk. I didn't make him throw tantrums. Guess how many tantrums I threw while I was at Ray Ray's? None. Guess how many tantrums I threw while I was at Lana's house? None. If they're not willing to listen and they're going to keep on hounding me about stuff, I get quiet and I pace. And I'm a bad person for pacing instead of yelling at them for not listening. Now, we did a lot of stuff up there. Because I had to do a lot. It wasn't all Amanda. Amanda claimed that she did it all. But she didn't. Not even close. And here's the thing. I'll give an example here. Now, this isn't what happened. Gas is just something it's easy for people to understand. Let's say I got a vehicle, right? And I need gas for that vehicle. Now, somebody else promised me that I could have that vehicle as long as I could get the gas. So we bust our ass trying to get enough for gas. And we get some gas, and then they say, oh, well, we're not going to give you the vehicle now. So I've got gas. What am I supposed to do with that gas? At first, I'm excited because I can get a vehicle. I got a vehicle, but no gas. And then I got gas, but no vehicle. The way that Lana and Amanda threw me away wasn't nice. It wasn't kind. It wasn't decent. It was specifically designed to send me into a panic attack because I didn't do exactly what they wanted. All of that work that we did up there, it got thrown out the window. And the stuff that Lana claimed that she did, sorry, not Lana. Lana didn't do anything. The things that Amanda claimed that she didn't do. Now, there's things that she pretended to do. See, that whole thing with getting all of my medical records in one place. Yeah, she pretended to do that. She helped me with the paperwork. She's the one who got the paperwork. But that paperwork did no good when it wasn't sent in. And not having a safe place to return to screwed me over. Now, they had this guy who works with felons who was going to help me with housing, but I needed to know what was going on with courts first. Now, Amanda specifically, wanted to treat me like trash because of things that happened. Well, that's great and that's fine and that's dandy. She wanted to treat me like trash because I chose to go to my court date. She didn't bother saying in that phone call that it was a court date that I was leaving there to go to. Then she went out of her way to type a whole bunch of other mean stuff. That's fine. It is. She typed, oh, well, you know, obviously this is because you just wanted to have sex with Natalie. No, that's not even close to the case. You're just saying that to be mean, Amanda. And that's the thing, is that I'm wrong no matter what. No matter what, I'm wrong. No matter what, people can do whatever they want to me. People can lie to me. They can cheat me. They can steal from me. They can slander my name. But I'm never allowed an honest day in court. The cops will listen to others, but they won't listen to me. A woman is worth more than a man. We're supposed to be respectful to women even when they're disrespectful. It's one of them sexist things that I have a issue with. Kind of like a woman can beat on a man for half an hour. When he pushes her off of him, he goes to jail. No, she shouldn't have beat on him for half an hour. She's in the wrong for that. She should be in fucking jail. Like Tammy Mencher. She should be in prison for what she did to Christopher Tapp. She's not. Matter of fact, he's the one that ended up with a record. And yeah, he's still pissed off years later. Tells me I need to get over shit, but he hasn't gotten over what went down with him and Tammy. Or how the Boulder Police Department fucked him over, and they did. All these people had expectations without finding out what was going on. Like Dan Faber taking Brandon Jepson's side. He doesn't know what's going on between me and Brandon Jepson. Brandon Jepson. I called him right after I tried to kill myself at Chapel Lake. I was still woozy from all the helium I'd inhaled. And he was a fucking dick to me. Told me if I really wanted to kill myself, I'd have done it. I literally just tried and failed. Well, Officer Cody Selhorst saw me doing it, drove all the way over to the other side of the lake to watch. And then when I realized that it just wasn't going to work, well, I started pulling out of Chapel Lake, and that's when he drove up and drove in front of me and stopped me. All of this stuff that I needed cost money, money that I didn't have. Because all of my money was going to traveling to one place, to another, to another, to another. I should have been taken somewhere safe. But it's not safe if I can't make a report. If I'm not allowed to defend myself. If I'm not allowed to do anything to defend myself and I just have to take the punishment. That was the problem with Natalie and Alicia, is that I was being punished for shit that I didn't do because they didn't want to tell their mommy the truth. They were too afraid of their mother's opinion. I should be allowed to die or allowed an honest day in court, and I was denied both. Meanwhile, Officer Lolatai, he's got a history of abuse, both before and after he abused me. He's got a history of assaulting people, both before and after he assaulted me. He's got a history of being a dick to hobos. Now, that video with Miss Peaches, where she's talking about the humanity of Lolatai and Steinman. Yeah, that's the difference between being a homeless person and being a mother who lives in a house. People keep telling me to get a job. I need a safe place where I can process. where I'm not getting bitched at, where I'm not getting slammed at, where I'm not expected to do what everybody else wants me to do instead of what I need to be doing. I need access to do these things. You guys don't understand what a safe environment is for me, and you don't care. All of this shit that I've gone through in the last 2 years, 3 years. I mean, shit, I hurt my back in 2015. On my birthday. That was my birthday present in 2015. In 2016, my birthday was to get thrown away. Find out that Natalie was still doing heroin. My birthday in 2018, I got to sit in jail. Off of empty promises. I was supposed to be released already. They did everything that they could to prevent me from being able to financially take care of myself. So I had to depend on the decency of others. Help me get to a safe place. That's the thing about Lisette Brown. She's supposed to be an autism advocate. I was able to get a hold of her before the Boulder police assaulted me. And she was supposed to help me. But after I got out of, or no, not before the Boulder police assaulted me, before I ended up trying to kill myself and ended up in Clearview. I killed myself because I couldn't get the people who could do something to listen. When I say listen to me, I'm not talking about needing a fucking therapist. I had a therapist. I had several of them, and they wouldn't do their jobs. The dynamics of every relationship that I had changed. Not being able to see my friends and family. Rihanna gets to see her kids. That's her familiarity. I don't have any kids. You know, to be told that I could come up here and have a place to stay and a place to work on this stuff. But then when I get here, I can't. On more than one occasion that happened. I mean, in Virginia, we could have cleared this up with a 5-minute conversation between me and Natalie. By the time I got to Boulder, this could have been cleared up by Natalie telling the truth and Alicia telling the truth and asking Maddie to ask her fucking meth buddies to stop. By the time I got to where I was contacting Joanna Taylor, I really needed someone to listen to me. I called her when I was up there in Montana. I called her and I called Mark Swanigan. They both wanted to tell me pretty words. I'm trying to explain the situation and they keep interrupting me to tell me pretty words. Pretty words, pretty words. I can't see them without having to worry about getting threatened or assaulted. So for 6 weeks after that, Joanna didn't call me. It was all in texting. She didn't understand that I'm having anxiety because it's all in texting and you're taking everything wrong. I need to explain the situation and I can't explain it in texting. After Natalie died, I mean, holy fuck. I needed them to stop. See, that's the reason that I exposed Tim Beeson and Ted Bollinger. Is because they're actual sexual predators. A lot of people are predatory. A lot of women are predatory. You do what they want or they'll gang up on you. You must be wrong because you have a dick. Meanwhile, you're in an abusive relationship with a good-looking dude and your friends are telling you stupid shit like, well, you guys have had some good-looking kids. Yeah, and they'll be raised by an asshole. With Rayanne and not keeping her word, not able to, there's reasons for that. And her husband being a dick, she doesn't want me to talk about that. I don't care. I didn't deserve that. I needed a positive environment, and everywhere that I go, I end up being fucking everybody else's venting box. Or I got things that I need to work on. I need to be able to do this stuff. I need to not be completely shut down. And like Shannon Alvarado's, for example, I'm busy listening to her talk about all of her problems almost the whole time I'm there. I get to hear her screaming at her boyfriend almost every night, unless they're both drunk and they have sex. When we were supposed to work on her counters, I needed her to stop complaining about everything in her life and actually work with me. I'm stopping what it is that I'm working on to listen to her, because she's needing 20 or 30 hugs, and it was probably close to 20. 30 might be an exaggeration, but 20 is not. And I'm not allowed to say that. And she wants to invite me back to California. Meanwhile, her boyfriend is screaming in the background about what a piece of shit I am. The thing is, I did to people what was done to me, and they didn't like it. But at least I was honest about it. I said where I screwed up. But people ignore that part to say that I never admit to doing any wrong. And then they bring up all the stuff that I admitted that I did wrong to try to say that I'm a terrible person. No, I got things wrong for a reason. I didn't know Shannon was an alcoholic before I went there. I didn't know that Rihanna's husband was going to be a complete and total dick before I got here. I'd love to take a bunch of pills and just end it all. Problem is, just the thought of pills makes me want to puke. It activates my gag reflex and makes me nauseous. Same thing with thinking about chocolate. The weekends are pretty bad because there's nothing I can do. All of these places are closed. Having these places where they said, yeah, Sean, you can come here and work on that stuff, and then I get there and I can't work on it during the day because of whatever reason. Up at Lana and Amanda's, in order to do the things that I needed to do to write out my story, what I needed was access to my Facebook, knowing that people weren't going to be destroying it. I mean, people blindly hated me because Natalie was killed. And they've blindly hated me ever since. None of these people bothered to try to put themselves in my shoes. Meanwhile, I tried to put myself in all of theirs. When I was in Virginia, yeah, I got to be the bad guy. It was the first time in years that I got to be the bad guy. You know why I got to be the bad guy? I sat down and I looked at their perspective. I looked at Natalie's perspective and her mom's perspective and her sister's perspective. And I saw how they could take it that way. All the rest of these people went out of their way not to see what it is that I was saying, not to understand. And they understood what I was trying to say. They went out of their way to play it off like I was wrong by doing the time warp. Oh, well, you're talking about a situation that is still happening, So we're going to do a time warp back to 20 years ago. We're going to do the time warp to here, and we're going to do the time warp to there. We're going to do everything we can to try to avoid being honest about the situation. We're going to do everything that we can not to look at your perspective. When Lana and Amanda were living in that RV, they were living on Sammy and Shelly's property. In Chapel, Nebraska, they weren't getting harassed by the police. As women, they're less likely to get harassed by the police. And yet women who are homeless still get treated that way. They weren't homeless. They lived in an RV. All of these people knew that throwing a bunch of shitty assumptions at me to be cruel, doing so in text, not allowing me to defend myself, not looking at my perspective, but I have to look at theirs. Except their perspective was to be mean. I didn't do these things to be mean. I did these things to point out that I don't have anyone in my corner. Lisette Brown, she couldn't help me because she was supposed to be in Boulder County. But they didn't drop me off in Boulder County. They dropped me off in Denver, where Jeff Ritter wasn't answering his phone and Cara Heller was off. I was stranded there. I'm fucking freaking out. There's no familiarity there. People couldn't take me in. They were afraid to. I'm not allowed to explain the situation to the courts or to my public pretenders. They won't listen to me. They won't answer their fucking phones most of the time. I need to sit down in a calm environment and write this stuff out. And if I'm having to worry about where I'm sleeping at night, where I'm going to get gas, yeah, those are major concerns at this point. Go to the library, go to the library, go to the library. Shannon Alvarado, that was her thing, go to the library. I explained to her probably 50 times why it is that the library wasn't going to work. But she's drunk and she doesn't remember anything. Like 2 of those videos you can see in there where she doesn't remember anything. She's talking about her mailbox. Again, I don't have access to her mailbox. I needed to get out of that situation. I needed to not be there. And not be homeless, stranded away from anybody that I love or care about. See, that's the thing. People want to be mad at me because I changed. I had to. I was being abused and nobody would fucking listen. And all these people are autistic because of their phones. The traits that autistic people are supposed to have. These people all got into their phones and got stuck in their phones. Their perspective is more important than mine. They're allowed to lie to destroy my life. For them, they think they're defending themselves. They're not. It's not defending yourself, destroying someone else's life. Natalie had an addiction problem. That's not my issue. That's not my fault. People keep telling me, Sean, well, you should go to the cops. I've tried, but these people haven't heard the whole story. They don't care. I need a safe environment where I'm not getting snapped at, where I can sit and actually work on that stuff. Here at Starbucks, great and fine and dandy. Problem is, I can't work on that stuff here. I can't make the phone calls that I need to make. Up in Montana, I made a shit ton of phone calls. A shit ton. Meanwhile, a lot of these people are fucking with my head. People's blind hatred. That's what I'm dealing with. Their ignorance. Their expectation for me to be like them. But my dad's, he didn't want to hear anything I had to say. But when it was something that he was interested in, like that program where you basically buy and sell day trading or whatever. You know, I couldn't get that shit downloaded on my computer because I'm still computer illiterate as all fuck. There's a lot of things I don't know how to do on a computer, and trying to learn that while I'm overwhelmed. Right now my stuff is in Starbucks. It's not being monitored. People can steal my stuff, and I have to worry about that. So I got to pack it up to come out here. Or I have to worry about it. I have to worry about cops coming and talking to me because people are offended by the fact that I exist. I don't have the money to do the things that all these people ask me to do, but they have the money and they already have the resources. I could have built up over time the things that I needed, but all of my money spent traveling from one place to another, from one abusive environment to another, to another, to another. It doesn't matter who's being abused. It matters that it's abuse. It matters that it's screaming in the background. While I was at Shannon Alvarado's, screaming in the background during the day. So I have to not make videos during the day. I have to not make phone calls during the day. At Candace's, I didn't have access to make those phone calls during the day. My service sucked up there. I didn't have access to the internet during the day because the internet was on her phone. I need to be able to look at this stuff while I'm making phone calls to let them know exactly what was said instead of having to try to commit from memory because there is too much to remember all of it. And I'm a bad person for this. I needed someone to look at the evidence. Lana didn't look at the evidence. Amanda didn't look at the evidence. Ray didn't look at the evidence. And I didn't expect Ray to look at the evidence. She never told me that she would. Amanda did. Lana did. They don't like that I speak out. But I'm speaking out for a reason. Some of these people didn't understand. Some of these people went out of their way not to understand. Don't speak out, Sean. Don't say it like it is. It's all right for you to say it like it is as long as you're not talking about me. As long as you're not talking about my situation. I needed help. I had limited resources to get this help. Limited resources to do the things that I needed to do. And it all costs money. None of these people bother to understand that I don't have $1 million coming in. I got $0 from those GoFundMes. Zero. So I'm constantly trying to get a hold of people to let them know what the situation is. I can't go to the cops. You see those things where I went to those therapy sessions. They're not helping me. I need to be able to defend myself. I needed to show Monica what was going on. She's worked with autistic people before, so she's hopefully going to be able to help advocate for me. But she can't if she's not willing to look at what's going on or understand why it is that I'm fucking freaking out. And although I'm not supposed to record that shit, I recorded it anyway so that people could see that I'm trying. The help that I need, I'm not getting. Because of government red tape that protects the people with the money. Rich people get the money that the taxpayers pay for help that these people aren't getting. I needed protected from these people. It's not a safe environment if people are snapping at me and slamming doors and screaming. I saved my screaming for right here on this here camera. I don't want to scream. I didn't want to expose Ted Bollinger. I didn't want to expose any of these people. I need people to understand. And they go out of their way not to understand. And then they say, where's this evidence? Every time I try to produce evidence, I get ended up on Facebook ban. I'm overwhelmed. At first, I was getting Facebook bans because I was posting up stuff that had personal information on it. I'm sorry about that. You know what that personal information was? People who were contacting me to threaten me had their pictures in the little corner when I took my screenshots. People went through my Facebook to try to find anything that they could to try to put me on Facebook ban. And some of those things were so long ago and so specific that I knew who it was that did it. The public did everything that they could to prevent me from being able to defend myself. The police did everything they could to prevent me from being able to defend myself. The head games that I had to deal with. Like, I could have shown the shit that Lana and Amanda did. Amanda posted that stuff. She was a lot nicer about it, believe it or not, when she posted on that YouTube video. When I left there, they went out of their way to treat me completely like shit and try to make me feel like I was nothing. To tear me down to nothing. Because I wouldn't have sex with Lana, and that is what it all comes down to. I wouldn't buy Brad's car because I didn't have the money. I gave Lana Layla's number, and I gave Layla Lana's number, and they didn't talk to each other. That Lisa lady was supposed to send some money to Lana and Amanda so I had something to live on instead of getting snapped at. I have to go into town when Amanda wants to go into town. There's no reason for me to go into town. I'm overwhelmed. I'm trying to calm my mind. I got too many things going on at once. That's sensory overload. And when people are snapping at me because I'm fucking overloaded, that just makes it worse. A lot of people threw me away. People who told me, Sean, you just need to let it go. The courts wouldn't let it go. The Bollingers wouldn't let it go. The public wouldn't let it go. And you want me to let it go while it's all still happening. I'm still homeless as a result of things that I didn't do. I'm still broke over things that I didn't do, despite the fact that I had to jump through their hoops. And all of my resources went to jumping through the hoops while they're saying I'm not trying. They made it too impossible financially for me to go to these therapy appointments because of all the courts over Lolatai assaulting me. But they had a better frame-up job at Clearview. And obviously they were trying to do that. Obviously they thought that I did it. I'm begging for help. The help that I need. But I know what help I need. I'm familiar with autism. You're not. Lana and Amanda, what they're not understanding is that when Amanda's oldest daughter, if she goes through this shit, she's not going to react much better. Is her family going to be verbally abusive to her over it? Probably. So let's hope that never happens. My dad, he was pissed off at me for 20 years because I wasn't able to get disability. I'm stuck in survival mode. I'm just trying to make ends meet. I feel like shit for needing money. I feel like shit for needing people's help. But I can't do this myself. I can't just turn off autism, which is what they expect. They expect me to just turn it off. They expect me to not be overwhelmed. People want to get pissed off at me because I posted videos that were true about them, about their interaction with me and how it affected me. And that's what they're not getting. I can't see any of my loved ones. I can't see any of my friends. That's what I needed. If I was able to see my friends, I could have gotten over what happened in fucking Virginia. But I wasn't allowed. I had to deal with fucking meth heads who were Matty Boa's customers. Get assaulted repeatedly. I needed the police to do their jobs. If I'm being assaulted and the police are turning a blind eye, they're not doing their jobs. If I'm overwhelmed and I'm trying to let them know what's going on and they won't do it, they would rather put me on suicide watch and take me away from everything that helps. And then everybody that I love throws me away. I'm trying to reach out to you for help, but you don't have the time. People threw me away in the most terrible fucking fashion. I'm begging for help. Yes, I'm overwhelmed. That's why there's supposed to be professionals who do this. But those professionals don't do what you think they do.